Welcome to today's video. Today we are going to be swatching and playing with the new Tati Beauty palette. Yay! So I got this on Friday of last week. I'm filming this today on Thursday, and obviously I'm filming it today. And I had it on Friday, but I didn't get a chance to film it over the weekend. I left town on Monday. I just got back yesterday. So I know that I'm a little bit late to the game getting a video up for Tati Beauty. I've seen tons of videos pop up, but hopefully you guys are still interested in my thoughts and review on this palette. I did pull it out on Friday when I got it, and I just kind of swatched my fingers through it. I put a little bit of it on my eyes, but I haven't really dug in and played with it yet. So I don't really want to call this a first impression, but it's kind of a first impression. Before we get started, I want to show you the box that it came in. It came in this just kind of simple black box, but when you open it, it's so stunning and beautiful. I mean, Tati's gorgeous. I really don't know what else to say about that. And then inside it says, "Beautiful is your story to tell. XO's Tati." So really, really cute, simple black packaging, but very, very Tati and stunning in the inside. And I feel like the palette is the same. So when you get it, it comes in this like soft touch sleeve. So you slide the palette out. It's got this like raised logo here, Tati Beauty. When you open it up, the palette is pretty large size. I felt like it looked black in all the photos that I was seeing online, but it's kind of more of like a charcoal gray, and then Tati Beauty is this really beautiful kind of raised rose gold stamp. Really just clean, simple, but beautiful. And then, here on the side, I know that this is not new to you guys. You guys have probably been watching videos on this palette, so I don't want to be too repetitive. I just kind of want to dive in and play with the shadows. Let me open it up here. Very, very large mirror on the palette. I mean, I don't really think you could get any more large than that. There I am. See, whenever you guys see me look to the side, I'm always looking at that monitor. And then this is what the palette looks like. You get 24 shades. You get a mix of mattes, shimmers, mattes with kind of like sparkle flecks to it, and then you get some glitters there. Really, I mean, you pretty much get every formula of shadow that you would be using in a palette. So when I opened the palette at home and I looked at the presentation, I think she did a really great job of laying out the shades, and like aesthetically, it's a very beautiful palette to look at. When I actually kind of look at the shades and I know my personal style in shadows, I see myself really kind of focusing here in this area. The glitters are beautiful. I haven't played with them yet. I'm not really someone that wears glitter a lot. So I don't know that I'll be wearing the glitter shades much. However, that's just a personal thing. I will play with them today, just kind of give you my opinion on how they swatch and how they wear. But all of this right here, like this is totally me. This is totally me. These are totally me. These are some fun accent colors. So I'm excited to play. So I've already applied my foundation. I really wanted this video to be focused on her eyeshadow palette, so I didn't want to spend too much time doing other products. But I'm going to go ahead and prime the eyes. I do like to prime my eyes when I am testing a shadow palette, just because I always prime my eyes. I would never really wear shadow without a primer. So I'm just going to apply a little bit of the Revlon primer onto my lids. And I like to use my finger to apply it. I like to shear it out. So I know at this point, many of you guys have probably already received your palette, so I'm really curious to know your thoughts in the comment section below. Let me know what you're thinking of this palette. I'm a huge fan of Tati's channel. She was one of the channels that I started watching in the beginning, and I always love watching her videos. They're a video that I can just put on and play while I'm getting ready. I don't know, it's her look, it's her voice, it's the look of her videos. I think I really enjoy her channel a lot. So I was very excited when this palette comes out. I've said it before, and I'm not one that really jumps on launches or influencer launches like right away. But this was one that like at noon when it went live, I was like on my phone in a parking lot like trying to get it. So I was really excited about this one, to be totally honest. Okay, so I'm going to start with applying my brow highlight. And when I look in the palette, the clear brow highlight that I see is Aura. It's probably... Now this one could be one as well. It's also Aura, but it's got a little bit of sparkle to it. So that is what the two look like. I'm actually going to use the one with sparkle. They do swatch on the fingertip really, really nicely. A lot of pigment, which sometimes these lighter shades don't swatch as pigmented as some of the more rich shades. So let's just dig right in here. I'm going to use the BK Beauty 205 brush. I'm going to apply this right under the eyebrow. So let me scoot you guys in a little bit closer so you can see the eyes up close. Okay, so that does have pretty good payoff. I don't really need to build it too much. It does, you can see that sparkle to it. So it's not a shimmer shadow, but you definitely do see that sparkle. I feel like sometimes these formulas, They look sparkly in the pan, but when you apply them, you don't really see that sparkle, but this one you certainly do. I'm actually gonna go in with the matte shade on top of it because I don't really wanna see that much sparkle underneath my brow. But I will say that they have really nice payoff. You not only get the color, but you also get that sparkle texture. Okay, so then next I'm gonna go in and build my crease, and I'm gonna go in with this shade right here. It's called Subtle. When I look at the palette, for me, that's the, that or maybe this shade, which is also subtle, but it's got the sparkle to it. Those two are really the only options for me for transition shades. Everything else in the palette would be a little too dark for my skin tone. So I'm gonna go in with the BK Beauty 201 brush, and I'm gonna use the matte formula of the Subtle, or Soothe shade is what it's called actually. And I'm gonna build that into the crease. Now, that's pretty good payoff. You get a lot of color. I didn't really like dig or swirl my brush around too much. I kind of just lightly tapped it in there, and this is the color payoff that I'm getting. So definitely some good color payoff. So you definitely get a lot of color payoff. I'm finding it a little hard to blend out in this outer corner. Not bad though. And I don't really necessarily think that that's a bad thing because you get like, you don't really have to build a lot. The color really comes off of the brush. I feel like once you put it on, you can blend it out a little bit, but it doesn't really move too much. Some shadows you can sheer out real easily. I feel like this one has a lot of pigment, and once you put it on, you really want to make sure that you use the right brush to apply it. Okay, so I'm gonna go and just kind of build that up a little bit. Take it over here into the brow. Okay, so make sure that those are even. This one looks a little bit deeper there, like this one looks more blown out. So what I'm gonna do is, I think rather than being able to blend this out, I'm gonna have better luck just matching this side to make it a little bit more defined. Yeah, that's good. That's just such a pretty color. That's really beautiful. I like that a lot. Okay, so then I'm just gonna take my brush and just kind of go back and forth to really soften that crease. Okay, so next I'm gonna go in and add a little bit of depth in the outer corner. And I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna work with this shade right here. It's called Ritual, so it's the brown. It's like the deepest brown in the palette, but it has a little bit of the gold flecks to it. So we're gonna go in with a 202 brush. This brush is more tapered, so it has more precision than the brush that I just used. So when I dip it into the palette, do you see that there is quite a bit of fallout that happens? Not a bad thing, just something to be aware of. I'm just going to apply this right here in the outer corner, create that little V, and then just softly blend it back and forth. This one has beautiful, rich color too. Really nice. So even though there was fallout in the pan, I don't really have any fallout on the face, so that's nice. And I really don't have a problem blending that one out. They have a lot of pigment to them, yes, but I was able to blend that one out nicely. And keep in mind, I did want to keep that pretty concentrated in the outer corner. Now I'm just gonna kind of work here in the left eye. Okay, this one is a little harder to blend. Let's see if it's just me though. There we go. So I wanted to show you guys the amount of like powder that falls off when you dig your brush in. I don't personally have a problem with that though. Some of my favorite formulas are like that, like the Anastasia Beverly Hills formula I feel like is similar, and I actually love that formula. So I don't have a problem with that, but I feel like I should share that with you in the fashion of giving a good kind of impression and review on this palette. Okay, so I'm just gonna, for some reason I'm finding this side easier to blend than the other. It's probably that I picked up too much. Let me grab my fluffier brush and go over it just to soften this side a bit. Yeah, and that does soften it. So I wouldn't say that they're hard to blend, but they definitely are very pigmented. So you wanna make sure that you're using the right brushes to apply it. And the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add our lid color. And for that, I'm gonna grab the BK Beauty 203 brush. This is just like a little small shader brush. It's great for the lid. So we're gonna move over here into the Story color scheme. We're gonna use the metallic formula here. And I'm gonna load my brush up. So one thing I want to note is when you pick up the metallic formula, there's really not a lot of fallout in the palette. You can see here that in the sequin formula, there's quite a bit. Do you see all of that right there? But it's not quite the same in the metallic. So I don't think that it's across all formulas. I think it's just maybe possibly that sequin. So I do have my brush loaded up, and I'm going to go and apply this onto the lid. Oh, that's really beautiful. Lots of good color payoff, and also you get that really pretty frosty sheen. That's really beautiful. Applies very nicely. I like the color. I like the way that it pays off. Yeah, that's nice. You get good color and you also get a good shimmer payoff. It's very consistent. It's not patchy or anything like that. It really applies nicely. Okay, then I'm gonna go back with my 201 brush and we're just gonna kind of blend in that crease. I didn't add anything to this. I'm just basically kind of giving a little blend of all 3 shades that I've used. All right, so next let's play with some glitter. So for glitter, I think I'm gonna go in with the Soothe shade, which is this one right here. And I'm actually gonna use my fingertip for this. Okay, so I've loaded up on my finger. I'm just gonna go and kind of apply that right onto the lid. Okay, so that went on really, really nicely. And I'm surprised I don't have any glitter fallout on my face. Now, I do have these lash extensions that work as a pretty good net, but I was expecting a lot of glitter fallout and I don't have any. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and press this onto the other lid. I find that my finger is the best tool for glitters and sometimes even loose powder pigments, because the warmth of your skin like really kind of works as an adhesion for the glitter. That's really pretty. And I like to apply glitter on top of shadow. I find that you just get a more consistent effect than applying it bare. You know what I mean? Like applying it just over skin. It looks more consistent when you have a shadow underneath there. Now, let me go over here and add a little more in this inner corner. Okay, the next one I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my shader brush, the 203 brush, and I'm just gonna kind of go over it and blend the glitter so that it just looks a little more consistent. Okay, so that's really pretty. I probably wouldn't wear these glitters aside from like special occasions, like maybe New Year's Eve or my birthday or something, but nonetheless, I think it's a good glitter quality. I don't have any fallout on my face, which well, maybe a little here, but that's not from, I don't think that's falling out. I think it just made its way there, but I don't have any fallout underneath my eye. That's impressive. I'm really impressed by that. Okay, next I wanna go and darken the outer corner a little bit. So I'm gonna go into the shade right here. It's the Ritual shade, but now we're working with just the matte. So before I added the sequin, now I'm adding just the matte. So I'm gonna see how this blends out. Now I didn't get the same kickback. So I think it might be that formula, the sequin, that just gives that kickback. The other formulas don't seem to as much. Okay, I do find the mattes to be a little bit easier to blend than the sequins. Now that we're working with a darker shade, I like to use my 202 to apply it, but then I like to go back with my 201 to really blow it out. All right, we got some fun eyes here. Okay, for my liner, I'm gonna go and line my eyes with a black liquid pen, and I'm using the Fenty Beauty 1. This is not my favorite black liner pen, to be honest, though, because I find that it always transfers to my crease. It's really rich in color, like it's one of the blackest black pens that I own. So when I first tried it, I was like, oh, I love this. But throughout the day, it heats up and transfers into my crease, which is not good. Next, I'm gonna apply a little mascara. I feel like when I have this much glitter on, my lashes need to be a little extra today. So for my lower lashes, I'm actually just gonna work with shadows and I'm gonna build. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in with the Soothe shade, but I'm going to use the sequin formula. And we're going to kind of use that as our base shade, and I'm using the 204 Smudge It brush. I really like this brush because you have a lot of control. It's very precise, but even though it's so small and dense, it's soft enough when you actually touch it and like bend the fibers. It's soft enough to where you don't get, to where you get a really soft line. You know, you still get a very defined line, but it's soft. So now I want to build my lower lash line and get it a little bit darker. So I'm going to go in with, let's go in with this shade right here. We're going to use the Ritual shade in the metallic formula. And I'm going to use the same brush and basically just go right over what I just applied with the Soothe. Was it Soothe? Yes, Soothe shade. Next, I'm going to go in with this shade right here, the shade Poet. I'm gonna add a little color to this liner, and this gives great color payoff. Even though I have those two browns before it and I'm layering this on top, you see a lot of that red and that like pinky red shade. That's really, really pretty. Okay, the next I want to go, I'm trying to use like as many shadows as I can. This is definitely more of a complex look than I would normally do, but I really want to try and use as many of these shades as I can, but yet keep it, you know, still pretty. So I'm going to go in with this shade right here, Aura, and I'm going to use the metallic formula. This is a really pretty shade. I could see this being a shade that I wear a lot. And I'm going to use the 202 BK Beauty brush to just apply it right in the inner corners of my eyes. That's nice. Yeah, this would be one of those shades that I would hit pan on first. Very, very pretty. Okay, I feel like that's about as much shadow as I can do without going overboard. So I'm gonna apply some mascara on my lower lash line. And then I'm gonna add a little bit more here on my lashes. I feel like that glitter is so, it just steals the show. I feel like you don't see anything else but that glitter, but that's really, really pretty. Yeah, really pretty. Okay, then next, let's apply some lip color. I'm just gonna grab what I have here in front of me. Let's use the shade JK Magic. This is by Charlotte Tilbury. It's a really like soft nude. Because the eyes are really the star of the show for this look, I'm not gonna do anything that's gonna compete with that on the lips. Very pretty. I feel like I need a little bit of gloss on these lips, so let me find what I have nearby. So I'm just gonna top this with a little bit of Milani Keep It Full in the shade Luminoso. This is the Milani Keep It Full lip gloss. And I'm just gonna apply that directly on top. This is not gonna change the color of the lipstick. It's really just gonna give it a ton of gloss and shine. All right, and that completes my look. My hair is looking a little crazy. So I actually had to shut down in the middle of filming this because our delivery got here for our BK Beauty brushes and it's raining outside. So I went and like unloaded like 35 huge boxes in the rain. So that's why my hair probably looks a little crazier than it did at the beginning of this video. But I wanna give you guys an update on the palette. So I really love the way the shadow came out. I think everything looks really nice and blended. If you were to take away the glitter from this look, this would be something I would totally wear pretty often. I do think it's a very wearable palette. If you like to wear glitters a lot, I do think these glitters are a good formula. They didn't really give any fallout on the face and they've stayed on my eye really well. They're easy to apply with a finger. And it really wasn't even really hard to work with. But the only formula in this palette that I would want to make a few notes about is the sequin. I found that formula to have a lot more like kickback when I dug my brush into it. And I found it a little bit harder to blend than the others, but other than that, I think the palette's really nice. I think you get, the quality is great. There's a lot of pigment. It's easy to blend. It's really pretty. As far as the shade range, I think it's a really nice, warm, neutral palette. I do wish that there were a bit more neutral shades in here that weren't so warm, that were maybe a little bit more cool tone, but I think it's a beautiful palette. I assume that there'll be more of these because it is labeled Volume 1, so I assume she'll be coming out with other palettes. But yes, I do recommend this palette. I do like it. I think she did a fantastic job. I think it's a beautiful palette, very clean and simple, but very nice, very Tati. So those are my thoughts on this palette. Let me know your thoughts if you purchased this palette. I'd love to know what you guys are thinking about it in the comment section below. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye guys.